Looks like we're good.
Okay, I would like to welcome everyone to our board meeting. My time says it's 6:31, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, please. Do we have anything to add to our agenda?
No.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 10th special called board meeting?
I make a motion.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved as written. Now let's move on to our treasurer's report, please.
All right. So we had a starting balance on September 30th of $1,428,157. Our income for October was $3,420. Our expenses for October were $70,431, leaving us with an ending balance on October 31st of $1,361,146.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the October check register and the financial report?
I'll make a motion.
All right. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thank you. Let's move on to our heritage CD, please.
So we did get the last CD that we did. We did get that corrected to 182 days at 0.4% interest. And they corrected the interest amount to where it's backdated to start from day one. So that's all taken care of and back to good.
Okay, then let's move on to our librarian's report, please.
All right, for statistics, so a couple new things that you'll notice on here. We created a young adult nonfiction collection. It's pretty small so far, but we have had one item checked out. The board games and puzzles that we had available for people to use in the library, we've switched those to where they can actually check those out and take them home. And we've also added technology kits. So that includes making Mickey kits and a code card kit, which are really cool, and you just kind of have to see them in action. We're still holding at between 50 and 60% less than normal of people coming into the library, but our total circulation was only down 37%. For our programs in October, the most successful program was the Story Walk. So that's where we partnered with the Extension Office, Health Department, and a few others to have the Story Walk at the athletic park. We had 251 people attend that. We were planning to do another one in December, but with everything going on, it's kind of gotten rearranged a little bit. They are still going to have the Story Walk boards up at the Extension Office, December 5th through December 19th, so people can just kind of go and follow the walk as they're able to, and then possibly giving out the free book and goodie bags through the drive-through. For maintenance, so Cintas has been working on repairing the duct detectors in mechanical rooms C and D. One's fixed. The other one, there's an electrical issue with it not getting enough power. So we're waiting on their electrician to come evaluate what needs to be done. So of course that's gonna, we may need to have an additional repair budget amendment with that. Tri-State Lock, they came after reviewing the information from Schiller Hardware, who originally installed the doors. We really can't rekey it with like an actual key lock, but they were able to swap out the locking mechanisms between two of the doors, and it's working much better. So right now we're doing good. If we start having more problems with it again, though, the next step would be looking at having the doors electrically wired, to lock and unlock with a switch or a timer. But that's going to be kind of a worst case scenario because that's going to be pretty costly. JC Tree Service has started the fall cleanup, and Lib Synergy installed the wireless access point antennas to extend Wi-Fi to our entire parking lot. So that's all in place. Tanya and I continue to attend the regional virtual meetings. We did just, I think, a couple of weeks ago, added the Falmouth Nursing Home back to our bookmobile schedule. And we've started the project to scan all of the application cards electronically onto patron accounts. So working on doing away with the physical cards and improving patron privacy. And then for the audit, our auditor was on site on November 12th to complete their in-person review, and everything should be finished in time to present at the December board meeting. For the regional report, just a couple things to mention. They revised some of the information resources on open meetings, so you can probably expect to be getting copies and having to sign a form of receipt for that soon. They also just released the new Category 2 funding cycle for E-rates. So that'll be for fiscal year 21-22. So we'll be able to get some additional funding for that.
Okay, are we ready for our old business with the update on the sale of our Highway 27 property?
So I've signed all of the paperwork to accept the offer that was sent to us. Our real estate agent is checking with the title company to see what all exactly is going to be needed for transferring. She said it might take another few days for them to get back to her. But so I'm waiting to hear back on that. But in the meantime, she recommended that we make a motion to authorize who would sign the official documents related to the final sale and transfer of the property. Typically in the past, this has been the board president. Hopefully this motion will be enough to just keep things moving forward. But if there is anything extra that they need, we might have to call a special meeting.
Okay, so do I need to make an official motion to nominate myself as board president to sign the official documentation for the sale of the property?
Someone does, yes.
Okay.
I'll make that
I will
motion.
make that motion.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Do you have to read it back as it will be written in minutes, or are we okay to move on?
I think I can read it back real quick. It's a motion of authorization to authorize April Soto as board president, has the Pendleton County Public Library Board of Trustees authorization, there we go, to sign all official documentation related to the final sale and transfer of the Highway 27 property on behalf of the library.
All right, thank you. All right, are we ready for our new business with our policy reviews?
Mhm.
All right.
So the policy that I've got for review here is our benefits policy. They've introduced a new federal law, which adds deferred compensation as an option for part-time staff if they meet specific criteria. The other change, so I added that in there. The other change is to remove the semi-full-time distinction. That's just getting our terminology current with where we're at right now. And then removing the benefit for employees to purchase books and other materials through the library. Turns out allowing that is actually illegal and puts our tax exempt status at risk. So I've actually told staff, I don't know, maybe a year ago or more, that we weren't going to be doing that anymore. That's just official in policy.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the benefits policy as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, now we'll move on to the disposal of our surplus materials.
And this is pretty straightforward. There's a few items that have just broken, so we'll dispose of those either by recycling or garbage. The first item on there, though, is we had a server in our server room that we haven't used in years. It's still functional, it's just really old. So we'll offer that to other libraries who maybe need a server but can't afford one.
Okay. Do we have a motion to surplus the items listed?
Motion.
All right, do we have
I'll
a second?
second
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's move on to our COVID-19 response.
All right. So this kind of with the most recent guidance becomes less of a question of whether or not we'll offer in-person service versus drive-through only, and changes it to whether or not we'll offer drive-through only service or close. They have Terry Manuel, the state librarian and commissioner, received guidance from the governor's office that they are now including us in professional services. So we're not government anymore. We're not retail. We're not all of the other things that they said that we had to follow. We're professional services. So what that means is we either need to fully close. We have the option to do drive-through. We do have to cut our staff back to 33%. Another library had asked for clarification on the 33%. And they recommend that that's actually 33% of the staff that would normally be present, not the total workforce. If we go with 33% of the staff who would normally be present, we can't do it. We can't manage running the drive-through even with that few people. If we go with 33% of our entire staff, that gives us up to 5 employees. It's like 4.5 employees is 33% for us. My recommendation would be to return to drive-through only services with 33% of our total staff, either until the mandate expires or we return to orange zone status, whichever comes later. Um, once the mandate expires, so if we go with relying on the color zone status, we have some options for where we might transition back to in person. We could say that we're going to remain drive-through only through January 10th or 14th, and that would get us past that holiday period. So we could set a date and hope that things are better at that time. We could go strictly with the color zone status. So the options that I have down here, this is what some other libraries are doing. This isn't the end all of the options. Some have planned to return to in-person the day after their county returns to orange zone status, regardless of what day it is. Some have planned that if they're orange for at least 2 consecutive days, then the following day they would. Some are using Thursday as a deciding day for the whole following week. So whatever your color would be on Thursday would determine whether you were open or drive through that Friday through the following Thursday. There is some concern that we could bounce back and forth from red to orange, and that's going to cause some confusion, both for staff and patrons as to, how we're open, whether we're open in person or we're open drive-through only. There is staff concerns about staff contacts and social activities outside of the library, which unfortunately we have no way to control. And then the other concern would just be computer access. Because while we do have Wi-Fi to our entire parking lot, so if somebody has a device, they can come and use the internet. If they don't have a device or a laptop or a computer, they wouldn't have that option if they need to, apply for unemployment or something that they can't do on their phone. So thoughts?
I understand the concern of I don't want publicly using the color system to differentiate whether we're open or closed can be kind of confusing, and the bounce back. I wonder if we can use that internally as a gauge of where we are to make that decision, but not have a hard, fast, like when we get to orange, we reopen, because, I'm not sure the best way to kind of go about that and also disseminate to the public what that will look like. Because like you said, I understand, like we could be red and then orange and then back to red. And I think it just seems like it sets up a lot of confusion. With that said, I don't really know how to structure that. I do think that if we can keep drive-through open for the time being, that's good. However, I think a lot of that depends on how safe you guys feel doing that. Obviously, the situation here right now is pretty horrible. So I do think it's important that we take staff feelings and concerns into consideration when we make these decisions. So, I don't know if you can give us some insight into that, but I do think that we can't publicly say, well, if we turn orange the next day, we're reopening, or if we turn orange, I don't think it's going to be that cut and dry for us. And I think maybe we need to look at it from a different, I don't know, like obviously that plays into what decision we make, if we're in the red, if we drop back to the orange. But like I said, I'm not sure that should be the public information, like this is what we are doing, because I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as that.
Right.
I'm just gonna say that I think we should definitely give a date like January 4th, January 5th. That gives hope to people that okay, that's when the libraries are going to be back to full strength. An estimated time. But definitely with your agreement, Melissa, about keeping the drive-through open, I think that's important. I just seen it wasn't half hour ago, Campbell County said they're gonna have curbside assistance. So I'm assuming other libraries are doing the same thing. So just to follow with them.
Right. Pretty much. I mean, it's slowly progressed as far as what I'm hearing from other libraries, with more and more libraries throughout the day stating when they're going to go to curbside. There's been some who are doing curbside, and we'll say curbside and drive-through is synonymous here. But there have been some who are doing appointments for people to come into the library. And there have still been some who just aren't closing. They're few and far between at this point.
How do you feel about the appointment thing? It's a complicated situation, I know.
I can see where it could be problematic. My personally, my biggest holdback, I guess, is computer access. In today's time, I think people need to be able to have that computer access.
Right, right. Well, that's sort of what I was asking. Like, obviously, anything involving books, other materials, that's fairly easily converted into drive-through service. It's, granted, it's not as smooth as going in and saying, I don't know what book I want to read. Let me just look around, but it's there. The information's there. Let us know what you want. We'll have it ready, whatever. But then I do think, well, what if there is somebody that needs to get on and file for unemployment or, something? And in my brain, I'm thinking, like, could we shut off everything except that front lobby and have like one computer, and you have to make an appointment and be let in the building, and, like a half hour between each appointment, and sanitize it, stuff. But then I think, I don't know. I don't know. Can we prioritize? Can we say you can come in to do unemployment with your appointment, but you can't set an appointment to come in and play a game? I don't know if we even are allowed to do that.
Right.
So that's one of those things, because I think like there are ways to make something like that work. Like if we wanted one dedicated, computer out there in the lobby or whatever, but does that just open up a can of worms that is going to be a fight on its own? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's a bridge we even want to cross, or just say, drive through, there's Wi-Fi in the parking lot.
Right. And I mean, I can give you an option that's going to cost some money. Which, we have right now, sorry, excuse me. Right now we have $15,386 that's not designated in our budget. That's part of reserve money so that comes in where we are beginning the amount of money that we had at the beginning of the fiscal year was actually more than what was estimated that we would have at the beginning of the year. So with that more than, we didn't say, well, let's go ahead and stick that back in this reserve. It was, especially with the beginning of the year, with all of the repair problems that we've been having, it's let's wait and see if we need to designate this to a specific budget line. So I've done some price checking because I did apply for a grant to hopefully get some laptops and hotspots. So I do have some ballpark information. We could purchase 5 laptops, and in order to get them to where we could lend them out, it's probably going to cost around $6,000 on the high end. So that would be a little under and that's overestimating. I can tell you that's definitely overestimating. But that would be a little bit less than 5,000 for the cost of the laptops, carrying cases, things like that. And then $1,040 for software subscriptions that we would have to have. So we would have to have filtering software on the laptops. We'd have to have I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of the software. But basically, if it doesn't get returned, then we can retrieve our laptop. So that's an option that would solve the computer access issue. And
Melissa,
sorry.
I feel like you guys will be understaffed anyways at 33%. So I feel like all the options you're giving us, that it's great if we want to go that route, but I feel like being understaffed, that you don't be hunting down laptops, making reservations, checking the lobby, checking the bathroom, making sure you open and shut the door, already understaffed. I just feel like I know we want to serve the community, and I'm all for serving the community, but at the same time, we already have underemployed, that we already going to have less employees, and then paying them that stay home, it's kind of like just, I would say, drive-through services. Like, definitely a great thing for anybody that wants books and videos and things.
And I mean, if we did go with purchasing the laptops, that would be something that we could do through the drive-through. That's all. As far as purchasing and software, that's all outsourced, so that's not any extra time necessarily on staff.
Well, what do you think? I mean, so that's something you'd already looked into, or you wouldn't have those numbers. Is that something that you think is needed and also feasible in our community? I mean, I think library patrons are a good. I hope I just said library and not library. I think our patrons are a good bunch of people. I think typically, I mean, it's not something I feel like, oh gosh, we can't do that. That's just a disaster. I guess I want to hear if that's what you think is a good idea. Do you have those numbers in front of you because you had already given that some thought?
I have given it some thought. And like I said, I did apply for the Work First grant, which kind of gave me some information on the numbers anyway. So I had that readily available. I think that even if we bought 5 laptops and we lent them out for a year, and at the end of the year we decided we didn't want to pay the over $1,000 for the continuing software because that would be an annual charge. I think once we are able to return to normal and we are able to do actual programs, 5 additional laptops would be excellent for staff wanting to do coding type programs, and things like there. We could use them. I'll put it that way. I don't think it would be wasted money.
Okay.
Melissa, would we don't charge late fees right now for books and videos, like, but would this be something that you would charge late fees to get the laptop returned quickly so someone else can use it, or someone would just keep it as long as they would like to keep it? Because I feel like that could be a problem too. If I got a laptop and there's no late fees, I'm gonna use this laptop as long as I use it until I return it.
Yeah, I think we would have to treat it a little differently than we do.
Right. And we could still not charge late fees. What a lot of libraries do who lend laptops and hotspots alike, they'll lend them out for 4 weeks at a time. You could renew it for 4 weeks as long as nobody was waiting, but they always have somebody waiting. But the software that you can get will actually let you shut down the laptop to where it cannot be used. So if they don't bring it back, they're going to have a very heavy paperweight. The software also works with, I think it's, I apologize. I don't have it in front of me. I cannot think of the name of the people, but they actually work with the police to be able to retrieve.
Oh, okay.
Cops. So there's that part as well. I would say still not charge late fees, because it really just doesn't encourage people to bring things back any sooner.
Right. Like if you're going to keep it, you're going to keep it. It's not going to matter if we're saying that we're charging you a fee. I mean, if you're the type of person that wouldn't return it, I don't think us saying we're charging you a fee is going to make a difference. Would we do 4 weeks, or would we do during this like a smaller amount of time? Or, you know, what would be the sort of time frame that you're thinking is useful to people in this community?
Mhm. I would think, I mean, long term, I would think 4 weeks. I could see with the current situation that maybe we would cut that back to 2 weeks, just like anything else. Just to kind of try and get a quicker turnaround on that and be able to help more people.
Right. Help more people.
Mhm.
I think if the funding's there and you feel it's good for the library, then I'm all for it. And that does sort of help us around that, you know, internet issue that computer access issue.
Mhm.
Are there any other thoughts or discussion? Okay, then do we need to make a motion first about doing the drive-through only services?
Mhm.
Okay. Are we going to put a time frame on this, or how would you best describe to word this?
I mean, if you all are in agreement, I think it would maybe be best at this point for us to pick a date in January. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I don't know if we would want to go with like a quarantine length period after New Year's. So like a 10 or 14 day period after the New Year's holiday. I mean, it's, at this point, it's hard to say. This could be extended until who knows when. Hopefully not, but
I think a good starting point is either like the first Monday after the new year, or 10 days after the new year, something in that ballpark. Like I said, it's a fluid situation. It could change drastically, between now and then, but to throw a number out that would be the ballpark I think would be best.
Mhm.
Melissa, I have a question. What about the return of these laptops? They can't be put in the book box, can they?
No, but I would think we could take them in through the drive-through.
Okay,
and-
okay.
and just be extra cautious about
Okay.
wiping out cleaning out the drive-through door with like
Right.
Clorox.
Yeah.
and-
Okay.
Okay, so back to the motion for the drive-through services. Do we want to just say that we're going to have a motion to start with drive-through services with a date of sometime in January, and then you can let us know what that is and post it on our social media page?
Well, and I'm looking at the January.
Thank you. I
Um,
apologize. I don't have the calendar in front of me. It's on my
You're
phone.
So the 10th is a Sunday. The 4th is the first Monday after New Year's. So I would say a goal of either reopening on the 4th or the 11th.
Is the 4th the day the governor threw out for schools, for high schools and middle schools?
That's the projected date for high school and middle school.
Yeah.
I would say go with that then. Only because it makes us look like we're very on the same page.
Right.
All right.
But you know,
so-
since that's a date that people might already have in their head.
Right.
Okay, so then do I have a motion for us to start our drive-through only services and continue them through January 4th?
So move. I make-
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then do we need a motion to purchase the laptops that we were just talking about?
It would probably be best to go ahead and do a motion, and then I can submit a budget amendment next month to
Okay.
the cost of them.
Okay. So then may
Okay,
I
I
just
make
say,
a motion.
go ahead, please.
I was gonna say, I make a motion for us to purchase laptops with the funding that we had available.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, and then will you just let us know everything that's finalized the next board meeting? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay,
All
right. Okay. Then if there's nothing else, then our next meeting will be held virtually on December 17th at 6:30. Do we have anything else? Okay, all right. So then I have, it is 7:10 by my time. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second
All right.
motion.
Thank you. And the second, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. I would like to thank everyone for attending the board meeting tonight.
Thank you so much and have a good evening.